Alright, according to this, we are not live. Is it working? Alright, let's see. According to this, we have a healthy stream at the moment.
Cool. And I don't know that I'm getting your a stream from you. Like it's just showing your little profile picture via Discord.
Let me fix that.
There you are.
There you are.
Sweet.
We are now gone, so technical issues seem to have been fixed. Wait for people to hop on. We'll repost the link one more time.
Sweet. Someone claim it. JC, what's up? Hopefully it is better.
Okay, let's hope this time we're actually working. I just had to restart my whole system.
Hope this time we're actually working.
Yeah, we're good this time. Well, that was a long, that's a long intro. It's like the
at least we have a fresh start and people don't have to suffer through all that.
Through the, yeah, it's like on the stream, you don't have to watch us talk where I have us muted for 7 minutes. Yeah, we should be good now. I had to restart everything. I don't know why I had to restart everything, but I did. So we're live. We'll kick the intro and then we'll kick the show. Late start. We're gonna got about 45 minutes or so, so we're gonna hop on into it, guys. Welcome, welcome back, CeeTee, from his adventures around the globe. We'll talk about that, coming back to trading, and you know whatever else is on our mind. Let's get it, guys. There we go. So, brother, cheers to you.
I forgot how to do this.
There you
It's
go.
been too long. There it is. Oh no, we're excited. Tink.
Tink. Cheers to you and everybody else. Traders, hope you all had a good week. Even in the choppy wink. It's on you.
Yeah.
Go.
I hope everyone survived this week with and their psychology's intact.
Yeah. It was a interesting week to say the least. You had a interesting week, so we kind of talked about it before, but just to kind of, you know, hit it again because we were on mute for 7 minutes and we had technical difficulties. How was Puerto Rico? How was, you know, going down there, finding the house, you know, doing all of that, for what you care to say for the second time?
Okay, yeah, so Puerto Rico was awesome. We went down there with kind of low expectations, but we ended up liking it a lot. The housing market's super tight there, so we spent a lot of time looking at houses and things were just getting bought or getting optioned same day. So at some point we figured we were just gonna have to rent a house and just hang out there for however long it takes till we can find one that we want to buy. So we ended up renting a house there, and now we're back in California packing all our stuff. You can see behind me here boxes of stuff already. There's no couch. We're already getting rid of furniture. And so yeah, it's we're excited. We didn't want to come back to pack our stuff, but we got doggies here and lots of crap to deal with. So that's where we're at right now, and we'll be back in Puerto Rico in May. And we can do these shows from there. Maybe I'll bring a laptop to the beach sometime, and we can do the scammy guru thing.
That would be legit. We just have to take some pictures to post them on Discord. Be like, these are our traders having success all over the globe, sitting on a beach. You could have like a Mai Tai or whatever you drank in your hand, an IPA, sitting there just.
Well, you got to get a green screen. We'll superimpose you.
There you go. I'll just come down and visit sometime.
Oh, you're welcome to, man. We got a 4-bedroom house, so yeah, you can definitely come down and hang out.
That'll be the plan. I'm excited. I'm excited for y'all. It's good that trading is kind of giving you the opportunity to kind of have that life and this life and kind of take those steps and go in that direction. I know it's a lot of people's goals, but it's nice that you're actually being able to, you know, I don't know if fulfill them is the right word, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I really haven't ever had a job where I can just pick up and move somewhere, assuming the time zone is like close enough to New York time, but I really haven't ever had this opportunity. So it is very exciting, and I need to be grateful for that, despite the exciting market that we've been trading for the past few weeks here. And I think we talk about it often that when you have things going on in your personal life, even like the smallest little distractions can really detract from your trading. So, and clearly, this is a super challenging move that we're embarking on. So it's definitely, I think, affected my trading, and that combined with the challenging market conditions we've been experiencing has certainly been the perfect storm for me. So I've I've essentially like tiered down super tiny tier, even considered stop trading just until we're done with the move. But I think it's better for me to just do small tier stuff. And the market's been tough, but we'll get through this and it'll improve and everything. I think back to last year. I think most of us had some flat months and maybe a red month. I don't know. I'd have to look back, but so everything's that comes in cycles, and you got to learn how to weather the storm and preserve your capital, psychological, and the actual money. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, the actual money comes with that. It's like you burn out on that kind of psychological stuff. That money goes away real fast. It don't matter how much you have or how quick you make it. You can lose it pretty quick.
Yeah, indeed, and I definitely have identified a problem I have where if I take some time away from the market, my first day back, I tend to be really lax with my discipline about trades and also lax with my rules. So um, that's something I really need to be cognizant of, like in the future when I'm taking days off and coming back. So we learn a lot about ourselves trading, and that's certainly something that I am implementing some rules to keep in check.
Yeah, I've been doing the same. And Peacock said, or Steve, you were like, how you need a clear mind to trade. And I talked about that a little bit on Wednesday's show. But it's so, like, true that mental state that you're in. Because you, me, and Steve have all kind of had the same similar thing happen at different levels. Like, you're getting ready to move. You're selling, I assume selling, or if you rent where you're at now, you're about to leave. I think you've told me, but I can't remember that you're about to, you're getting rid of that. You're doing all that move. That's like a lot of external pressure, a lot of thoughts going through your head. And a lot of the stuff you kind of make up in your head isn't even real. It's like pressures that really don't exist that you put on yourself, that if you were in a clear state or whatever, you could just let them go. And Steve is selling his business, and he's getting a brand new, you sold your old business, now you're a full-time trader with nothing else. That's that external pressures that you have. For me, the kids and selling, well, a lot of people have kids, but selling my current home, like I'm moving in 70 something days, to Georgia. So just that whole same process, selling this home, buying the next home on Monday. I'm driving down over the weekend, and having all that happen this week. Wednesday's show was kind of like my what I'm doing to handle that. It was like a complete change. Realizing I didn't have to trade. I didn't trade other than a few call outs I did this morning, yesterday. I didn't trade. I was just like, whatever. Market's choppy. I know it's going to be choppy as my expectations. I'm going to leave it alone. Just going to let it go. My kids are sick. Sorry. I'm just going to let it go, and it's all good. I'm gonna set time aside, and because I'm not in a mental state to trade like really well, I think. I don't know, how are you going to handle, like, have you made changes? I know we talked about it a little bit before, but what are some changes and stuff that you're doing or that you're going to go through to kind of hone in this like difficult time?
Well, it's like I said, I definitely really considered just not trading for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and just focusing on the move. But I do think that there's value in keeping an eye on the market so that the next time something like this happens, I'll be able to better handle it. And I think the best thing for me to do is just to like trade micro tiers and not trade for the money for the next month or so, but just trade as an exercise in practice, and learning how to deal with these ever-changing market conditions that we're presented with as traders. So that's what I'm planning on doing. Clearly, I'm going to have periods of time where I'm not going to be able to trade. We're driving our dogs across the country for 3 or 4 days with a bunch of our belongings that are going in storage in Florida that aren't getting shipped, and we're going to be at our new house while our belongings are being shipped. So maybe do some trading on laptops and stuff while we're there. But
Mm-hmm.
I have to accept the fact that it's not. There's going to be major disruptions, and I definitely want to preserve my psychological capital and not get myself into a spot where I'm feeling toxic about trading. So that's the plan at the moment, and I'm having to like come with renewed discipline because when I am away from the market and I come back, it's clearly it's hard to take time away from the market and jump right back in. And then also I have this issue with discipline that I seem to struggle with when I'm coming back after a period of time off.
I seem to have, I don't know what yours is, but for me, it's like I have the ideal market in my head, and I'm going to sit down, and it's going to be ideal. And that's kind of the way I trade when I take time off. So I'm not trading Monday because I'm, well, I'm like, will have driven through the night Sunday to sit down, and then I'm closing at 11 o'clock on the house, and I'm driving back, like literally driving right back to Georgia. So I'm probably just going to take Monday off. But I'll sit down Tuesday, and my struggle is probably going to be I'm going to sit down and be like, okay, one of these is going to work, and I trade it like it's going to work. I don't know if you kind of do the same annoying thing or.
Oh yeah, well clearly, I came back with, with the confidence that I normally have, not realizing that things had gotten really challenging in the week or so that I'd been away, and it was really exacerbated by the fact that when I sat down to do my charts the night before, it was like we had this ridiculous amount of like green candles on the daily chart, like in the
Mm-hmm.
queues and a lot of the names we trade. And I'm like, wow, we are just rallying so hard. Like, trying to think of where Monday is here on my chart here. Yeah, so I mean, just massive, massive rally for the like 6 or 7 days that we weren't trading, or that I wasn't trading, and so I'm coming back just ready to crush it because I'm thinking I missed out on all this great trading, and as people told me, the day I came back, really, it was kind of choppy for all those days. Like it looks great in hindsight, but not the greatest trading, is what people were telling me. So, yeah, I had like really not a great day my first day back, and then you know, kind of reduced my max loss the following day, and I somehow managed to string together 3 red days, which I think it's been about 6 months since that has happened to me. So this is definitely something that's tough to weather psychologically. I think you maybe talked about that a little bit on your show a couple days ago. That you know it doesn't take you can be really consistent for a really long time, and then like 3 red days will just shake your confidence, man. And you know we've all been through this before. Not all of us, but most of us that have been trading for a couple few years. We've been through situations like this where the market gets like impossibly difficult, and it takes us a minute to adapt. And you need to, you know, when your confidence is shaken, it interferes with your process and your OODA loop and everything. So, it's all a learning experience, and it's just constantly forcing you to grow. You cannot remain stagnant in this business. You will just destroy your account. So.
And that's key, is you said business. Like this, you can't remain stagnant in this business. It's not a, in a sense you could say you could do it like it's gambling, but it's literally like, it's literally like this is, you have to, I think, when you're thinking about this long term, set up how you trade, how your day losses are, your max losses, your, everything, as not as like this is expendable cash, but in a way that actually helps you sustain yourself mentally for the long term. Like Steve's like, he had 3 red days and he's like, oh man, is this the time to back out of my my sell? Like whenever I'm having the worst times, somebody reaches out to me like, hey bro, you want a job? Like I got a job offer here. I'm like, no, but it's like, no, I don't, I'm gonna trade. It's like, but I've had like a really bad week this week. And stuff like that can definitely creep in on you if you don't like keep your, and I remember Kelly talked about it when he was on, like, your trading is a business, and if you treat it like that, you'll be okay. You can be okay. You can adjust quicker. If it's just you're just wild and going all over the place, you've got a good chance of really hurting yourself and stopping your long-term sustainability doing this.
Yeah, and really, it wasn't that long ago that we were finding ourselves going from being, from bending a lot to having to be really disciplined about the type of trades we take. And there's a big parallel, I think, between that lesson that we learned about trading styles and what setups we were taking and having to be more disciplined, and the approach that we take to running our business. In that, when market conditions are good and things are working all the time, oh sure, I blew through my what I want my max loss to be, but I can claw back from here. I'll take a few more trades, and we start to maybe get a little bit lax with our rules, and that's problematic, I think, because it doesn't take many days to have a pretty significant impact on your account, and you can give back a week, a month, and we've certainly seen people in the room this past week who are basically just stepping away from trading for I don't know how long. Some might seem to be quitting, like people are having a really rough time. So
Yeah.
and so I'm thinking, we have to ask ourselves, what can we do to protect ourselves and protect our accounts? Because we know that these times are going to come periodically, and trading is not always easy. It gets tough, and we're always presented with new challenges. So we really do have to, we have our rules about our strats. We got to have our rules about our business, and things in place to keep us from playing those games in our head where we think we can break rules because we're good enough to do that.
It's like you think you're better than the market all of a sudden, or you're better than the rules, you're better than what got you to where, you're at right now, and you're really not. It doesn't take much, like you're saying, it doesn't take much for that stuff to start going, for that negative stuff to start kind of seeping into your head, and those bad habits of bending on the bad strategies start clawing in, and then, Katie bar the door, as they say, then and that's it. Or then you really are looking back, like, holy crap, look at the damage I've done to, like, my account, my business, my trading. And I've been having to, I mean, partially because of the outside, like, factors. Like, I've been decent at chilling and taking it easy. But, like, the outside factors is just forcing me to size down. It's like I never trade with under 5 contracts. And it's like now I'm just, like, 5 contracts. Because I think about it, like, that consistency picture that I like to post. That little curbster setup. Let's see if I can just throw it up. Why not? Why consistency matters for the billionth time. It's like, what? I don't. What's this? No, stop. It's like, well, what am I looking at, or whatever it is. It's like, man, I know I could sit here. It's like, if I really just sit here and I wait, are there setups I trust enough to make me this on 5 contracts? This number in a day? It's like, yeah, there is. Okay, can I run a business and support if I have a couple weeks where I only make that a day, and then the good days come back? And I've just kind of had to shift, and like I talked about on Wednesday, I don't mind just not trading, or like, I've got this stuff going on, I don't have a lot of time right now. All right, I'm just gonna leave it alone, and I'll come back to it, or I'll tear down like you're doing, and I'll preserve my ability to trade when it does get good. I'm going to scalp those days together, going to start building it, and then when the really easy stuff starts coming and your breakouts follow through and Tesla and the Qs pull back on the daily, and we get some good upward momentum, and those easy moves come, you're going to be able to catch them, and then you're going to feel like you're the best trader in the world, and you can do whatever you want to, and that's when you then have to reevaluate and make sure that you're still not breaking your business rules and your trading rules because things got easy. And it's like this vicious cycle of, like, I don't know, it's just like a vicious cycle you have with yourself as a trader. Can you?
Yeah, it was definitely, and something that JR sometimes harps on over in the T3 room is, a lot of times it's not, when you give back a month, or however much money you give back a big chunk of money because you're not trading smart and you have some tilty days. Like, the psychological damage that you incur from that, you carry that with you. And so you really have to remember that it's not just the money, it's that you need to, like, preserve your psychological capital so that you can continue to trade smart when conditions improve. And it's one of these things that we just have to keep reminding ourselves, because it's too easy to start bending rules and get yourself into trouble.
Yeah, it's easy to break them. And for you, I know coming back, I don't know if you broke rules when you came back, but for you coming back from being away from the market, um, for me just wanting to make more because I'm in the middle of all this other financial stuff. For Steve, who's quitting his job now, like you're like Steve like has quit his job and he's doing this. So now whether or not, I mean, I'm sure he knows it, but it's just like, okay, now it's real. Now you're like, oh, now I really need to make some money. And like I don't know, you just can start looking at it differently. If you have 2 or 3 weeks of not trading good, you can just feel like, man, I don't know how to make money anymore. It's like, can I even do this? Is this like, what's going on? Like, why is this, it just starts, yeah, accumulated emotion. It just kind of adds up, and it adds up fast. That
Yeah,
bad emotional
indeed.
damage.
And it's, I think the three of us are all definitely in a very similar situation because clearly, like, yeah, so I'm taking days off trading that I should be earning. I'm spending money like basically kind of on a vacation that instead of, and paying rent back home, I'm trying to finance, an expensive move. So there's so many little things creeping in, and the sum total of all those really does have an effect on you. You can't discount the effect that that has on your trading. So
Yeah.
very important to keep all these things in mind and just be ready to constantly keep yourself in check. It's really important in this business. Your ego will get you.
It gets you so quick. You had mentioned, I don't know if you still have them, but some rules that you're changing. I don't know if you want to show them, or if
Sure.
you're gonna do that
Yeah.
today.
So I've shared the Discord the rules that I used to use when I first started trading that really helped me to be successful. And as I got more and more consistent, I think that I started to bend those rules quite a bit because I was getting really good at recovering from red days, and I was very consistent, so I got a little bit lax with my rules. And so I have worked out a new set of kind of evolved trading rules that I'm going to be implementing. And some of them are have like kind of updated versions of the old rules. So we've got these up on screen here. So the first one is if you're having a red day and you get green and then get back to red, just stop. Like, don't go big red after clawing back to green because it's super toxic to your psychology. And if you're a consistent trader and you get red to green and then back to red, what does that tell you? This is probably a choppy, difficult day that isn't really working with your strats. So just walk away, protect, preserve your psychology, preserve your energy for a time when trading is better. So if you're red and you get to green and then you take another trade and you get back to red, just stop. It doesn't matter that you're going to end the day small red or whatever. You just got to walk away. There's good days in the market and there's bad days in the market. So I don't know. Do you do anything like that, Gator, or what's your approach to that?
Yeah. I wish that I followed it better than I do.
Mhm.
you know, but I definitely do. Um, my rule is basically the same as that. Is if I am red and I catch back to green, 90% of the time, I just stop. And the times I don't, it's probably, I wouldn't even say like under 5% of the time. It's like there was a move that was just going and I was in the middle of a run or something.
Mhm.
But then it's almost, especially if then you lose a trade, or then like you're done with that third leg, or you hit resistance and it's choppy. At that point, it's like instant stop. So basically, yes, unless I'm in the middle of something that is actively working to where I'm not even realizing that I'm back to green, I stop and I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I see it as Ari said the other day that he had like was down really big and then came back and was flat. I think, I don't remember what you were down. Man, you were down like, I don't know, I don't remember, a couple K, and you came back. I view it as like a free day. It's like it's the next day's worth of trading I just purchased, because instead of having to come back tomorrow and make up that 5 grand, I just did yesterday's work today. Now tomorrow I can come back and trade intelligently. And that's like how I've told myself in my head to like allow myself to stop. So that's kind of what I've done at that point.
Yeah, and learning how to frame these things to keep you behaving smart is super important. And that's something, if you've got you should have your own set of rules, but that's something to consider if you've got your own set of rules. So moving on to the second rule I've got, which is that if I'm having a green day and I go red on a trade, I give myself one more trade after that. And if that trade doesn't get me back to green, then I'm done for the day. And that's just basically, I find it, for me, it's really toxic to be having a green day and to like let it grind down into a red day and then to take it even yet another red trade, and just like it's I don't trade very long. I trade, you guys know I trade for like an hour or two. So I've got 22 hours to think of regret before, I have an opportunity to come back and continue on. So psychology is really important to me. And, it's like on rule number one, it feels really awful to claw your way back to green and then go back to red. It also feels really awful to have a red day or green day and let yourself go red. So I'm re-implementing these hard rules to stop myself from, to keep my red days small, especially if I was ever green at some point. Um, and moving on to number three, I'm trying to like get really, I guess this is getting a little bit complicated, but I don't know how else to address these things, which is that um, if I exceed my max loss by even a penny, I'm going to reduce my max loss by 50% the following day. And that sort of incentivizes me to not get near my max loss. Like if I'm getting near my max loss, clearly things aren't working the way they should be working. And so maybe I should stop before I get there, kind of thing. And, that way I can also, when market conditions are challenging, that forces me to reduce my max loss on the following day to make sure that things are working again before I start, going risk on again. And let's see here. If you have any input, feel free to jump in here.
Yeah,
But my final rule I've got here is that if I exceed 50% of my max loss for 2 consecutive days, I'm going to start reducing my max loss by 50% every red day after that. So, like one of the things I really like to do is when I have a tough day or a red day or I encounter challenges, I think to myself, what's a rule I could put in place that would keep me out of this situation in the future? And when I came back from vacation, I had a pretty big red day, and then my next day trading on Monday, it was not anywhere. It was like half the size of that first red day, and then the following day, half again. And so I think that this safeguards me when market conditions dramatically change. That it tears me down like really fast, like when things aren't working. So by like 3 days into the market conditions changing, I'm teared down massively. And so that incentivizes me to minimize my red days and just walk away. So that's kind of that. I guess those are a little bit complicated, but maybe you can screenshot those or look at those if you're watching on YouTube or whatever, and maybe you find those valuable. But that's what I'm working with going forward. And so we'll try to read some comments here. If you have any comments or thoughts.
well, you're reading the one question there. Yeah, I do similar. I reduce my size by my 7-day trading average is my max loss. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very similar. And then I just kind of keep it there. What up, Laidman? And then I kind of just keep it there. And then if that gets down, like, I mean, I'm not negative, but if you were negative, then it's just like, okay, you need to reevaluate, just put some green days together and, make up a number. Like for me, it'd be like 2K or something. It's like, you're not going to lose that. And you're just going to put together a $1,000 win day or a $2,000 win day. And I kind of do it like that, but I do something similar, and I've been sticking, thankfully, to my max loss days. And I haven't really hit them, but I've come close, and it's been very easy to do, and it's helped implement rules like this. And when I start getting frustrated, almost like I was in the middle of the week, and Iliad, I don't know if this completely answers your question, just the way I'm reading it. So maybe CeeTee has a different answer or similar. You let me know. But a trade, like I said it when I was on for a few minutes yesterday, when I was trading Facebook. I said, if this was a different market, I would be holding this to target. I'm selling here. and I'm just taking profits because right now you're in a choppy market. I don't want to hold a choppy market. I don't want to see a trade that I'm up 30 or 40 cents go red and then green and then red. Like, I just want to take a trade, get a good entry, and scalp the prices. So I'm logging off earlier, or at least I'm not trading. Even if I'm on the mic, I'm not trading, or I'm not trading with size. I'm taking quicker wins. I'm not holding for the entire move most of the time. I'm buying on moving averages, not when they pull off. I'm buying at the bottom of candles, and yes, I'm missing some moves because of that. But I'm reducing like where my risk is, and it's I'm making less. Like I've made less in the last 2 months than I made in January. I made more in January than I made in the last 2 months combined. Um, and I'm fine. I mean, that's just part of the business. And for scaling down, and then CT. Well, actually, you can go. I don't know if you read his question kind of similar to that, or if that's
Yeah, I got Jay this question here. So if I'm reducing max loss by 50% each day, does that mean I'm tearing down each day? Yeah, so essentially, if my max loss is reduced by 50%, I have to, in my head, think, okay, so, what would, I kind of just as a rule of, just a rough rule, I'll try to think like, what, I'd like to be able to take 3 losing trades before hitting my max loss. So I'll try to divide that max loss by what I expect to lose in 3 trades. And the other question I see here is actually from Iliad or Eyelid, how to do this on a smaller account. And really, I think you got to switch from options to common stock in some situations. And that is, I've even been doing that, like on certain names. Like if I don't feel like I can safely trade the options, I'll switch to common stock. And clearly, that's a problem if you're in a cash account. But I don't have any problem trading common stock. And I feel like in certain names, like trying to do quick scalps with options is really challenging. And sometimes you have a better chance of success with common stock. So
yeah.
that's sort of where I'm at.
And there's nothing with a small account. Like mine was kind of similar. Like I would make my stops quicker. Like I would just take tight trades in names that weren't Tesla. It's like if I had a small account, it's like I'd be trading Facebook or Square or maybe not Apple. I don't like how it moves, but maybe Apple. I would take names where my losses on a losing trade was 10 to 20 cents, not 50 cents to a dollar. And I mean, simply put, that'd like be the easiest way for me to control losses on a small account is finding the names that move like that, not the names that are Amazon, Tesla, and Google. Like, there are, you could have names that are moving 10, 20 cents. Your wins are smaller, your losses are smaller. When do you start sizing back up after these? Do you have rules for when you go back? It's like after you have green day CT, you'll kind of allow yourself
That
to. It's like one green day, max size.
back to max. I just started putting these to paper today, so I'm not really there yet. But I feel like this is like my plan as how to deal with the coming into this prolonged period of moving where I've got a lot of distractions going on. And what I'd like to see is, I'd like to see a few weeks of consistently green trading before I start tearing up again, because, one really bad day can really, erase a lot of progress. So at this point, I'm not focused on making money so much as I am in restoring my consistency. And that is, it's tough to do, but I think that's the best thing for me right now, given all the distractions and life things I've got going on at the moment.
I agree. It's good to put that in perspective because you'd rather look back when you're done with this move and be like, yo, I'm good. And, not worry about or like, I'm good, I'm happy with where I'm at. Then you would look back and be like, man, if only I hadn't done X, Y, and Z, I would be here. And it's kind of like that's the two options, and you're taking a stance that will actually protect you during this time. Because I assume it's like, yeah, you need to make money, but it's like you probably don't have to entirely just have massive green days to support what you're doing right now. Like you probably financed and budgeted, which I think is something we've talked about before that's important to, like, you're not overextending your means in the next month.
Oh no, and I think I kind of alluded to this earlier that I can absolutely take the next 2 months off if I want, and I'll be just fine. Like I don't, there's no pressure to make money for me at this point. I'm comfortable in that sense, but I do think that there's value in weathering difficult market conditions,
Hmm.
even if it's just practicing, so that I can better handle these in the future. And it's keeps you sharp, keeps you back in the game, keeps you watching the market every day. And I don't want to take like an extended break and have to come back and really have to get back in the groove, which I think might be challenging.
I think it would be, and I think practice is key, and even if you're just practicing like sizing down, like that's a discipline, because like I had a hard time doing that. It's like it's hard to be like, no, I'm going to do these things right and trade intelligently. It's not about the money. We always say it's about smart trading. So you're just saying, hey, for my current circumstances, which I think this is important for guys to like, hear, and gals to hear, is no, my circumstances are what I'm doing. This is the type of trading I need to be doing in that, and I'm going to trade intelligently during this time. And that's going to maintain and keep me going, for the duration of being a trader, as opposed to just taking 2 weeks off. You're not improving yourself mentally by taking 2 weeks off. Like there's nothing wrong with taking rest days, but you're not becoming better by just staying away from the market for the 2 months. You're doing better by finding some smart trades, logging off, training good habits in what you're looking at. Hey, I'm looking for 2 or 3 trades in the morning. All right, I'm green, 500 whatever dollars. All right, I'm good. Good habit to form, you know.
Yeah, indeed. And, this is also giving me the opportunity to spend time, doing reading on books and stuff that I've picked up and, I've been putting off, as far as like, from like market stuff, like,
Hmm.
doing educational things. And, I wouldn't want to be like, for instance, experimenting with strategies that I'm not necessarily, well versed in, when there's great scalping that I'm missing out on, So like maybe this is a chance for me to grow as a trader and try some new things. Somebody in chat mentioned that challenge that JR, I guess, gives to some people when he's mentoring them, and I'm not even sure that it's $5. That I think it's a $1 challenge. That the challenge is to make $1 in a day trading one share of the spies or the Qs. So you're trying to get a dot. I could be wrong, but I think it's $1,
Hmm.
not $5. Which honestly, if you think about it, maybe not the easiest thing to do. That's if you take your wins and you take your losses. If you're taking longer holds, but that's one of those things where it's like, can you tier way down and do something that you can then scale up at a later time.
Can,
And
can it
oh,
be
go
about
ahead.
the trades and not the money?
Yeah, and that's a whole other struggle that when you do tier down,
What up,
then you have
Jr.?
to. JR's here. Your ears are burning, bro. We're talking about you.
That's why we can't talk trash about people. We don't know who's listening.
but uh, but yeah, then there's the challenge of like, great, so you're tearing down and you're just trading for practice. Can you still take it as seriously as you would if you had a significant amount of money on the line? So yeah, it's interesting. I'm so awesome. That's awesome you were able to join us at JR. I think it's a short show tonight, but because of extended technical difficulties. But
Yeah. We were
yeah,
gonna end at 10, but we were gonna start at 8:30, and we had about 30 minutes of technical difficulties. What's
you know,
up, everybody?
JR, you did I wasn't there for the live show, but you did a show maybe 1 or 2 nights ago where you were talking, I think, about AMC and order flow, and gave a rather extended lesson on order flow. And it was very interesting because so many of the levels that you were talking about using that I mark on my charts, like the pre-market lows, pre-market highs, I know from experience how things tend to react there, but I never really knew the mechanics behind why those things work that way. And I found that super informative. Like, I'm really enjoying your educational material. It's been awesome.
I am too. I can't wait for the actual master class that he's doing. That's gonna be like money.
Indeed, yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
But it's one of those things. It's like, what when you understand some of that bigger picture, and that's why the C strategies are so amazing, because they'd have allowed us to get to the point where I can take time to actually understand those things, as opposed to like jumping in, not making money. It's like now I see the value in understanding them, because I'm spending so much time in front of the screen. I see them come into play. So it's like I'm seeing this stuff happen. I don't even sometimes realize why or how. It's just like, yeah, I just noticed that the level 2 does this here, and this starts moving here, and well, it's the bottom of this pivot, so let's take it right here. So, and actually understanding how and why it works, you know. uh, there you go.
Well, Jr., we are so fortunate to have you, as our little leader over there, with all your experience, and it's often overwhelming because your grasp of things is so vast, and we're so new to this in comparison, but it's really great to be in the presence of greatness, as it were.
Is it's like what's the instead of, I would say that he was like a screaming eagle. He looks off into the distance, and an eagle screams when he looks at a stalk. He's like, this is the trade. But I think it's more of like a wise old owl, and it's just sitting there, just like popping around. Then his head just whack, and it's like pivot, and it just sees a pivot, and that's now JR. Instead of the eagle screaming in the background as he takes his trade, it's the owl that just looks. And then it also does the same thing when you're buying at the wrong point. It's like, this is wrong, and the owl just looks at you judgmentally. That's JR. That's your spirit animal.
Call.
But no, it's good stuff, and and it's important to take that stuff into account when you're trading. And trading doesn't and shouldn't always be about making the money if you're doing it right. There are times like this in the market where you can hone your skills, and you can take time to actually develop yourself as a trader. So not only that you'll be able to survive the choppy markets where the moves happen in the pre-markets because it's un-American and these are some communist retards that are doing this to us, instead of just like doing it in the middle of the day so we can scalp it and jump in options, and it can be halted while I'm in calls, and I can make 50 points on my calls. Instead of having that happen, it has to happen overnight so the future traders can make money. And nobody likes futures traders. Sorry, futures traders, or whoever else trades overnight, you commies. And that's what happens. And so, but all that being said, you can actually just trade, and you can develop yourself. You can learn things. You can be like, okay, it didn't happen. I'm going to trade a little bit less. I'm going to size down. I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to learn to scalp. I'm going to learn these levels. I'm going to learn these pivot levels. I'm not going to worry about the money. I'm going to worry about trading intelligently. Can I learn how to make money trading the Qs? That's what I've been working on. I tell you, I've traded the Qs more in the last 2 months, sizing down, taking 10 contracts, and just trying to play pivot levels and learning how to do this than I have, ever in the last year of trading. And I'm just trying to develop that skill, because if you get really good at that, it's like, okay, well, I can take 25, I can take 30 contracts, I can start seeing these things happen. All right, well, I see this lining up, and Google's following the cues today. This is hitting this level, it's going down, and you can start putting like pieces together of the puzzle and learning how to make money by observing the market. That's a good way to spend your time, instead of just being like me, pissed off that Amazon announced a split in the after prep, and then Tesla did the same thing, and you're just unable to trade all this fun news. It's like, oh, you can just be pissed off and overtrade and give stuff back, or you can actually sit down and you can get better at your craft. And instead of thinking what the wave should be, you can just ride the wave that the market sends in your direction. You can get on it and you can just cruise it, or you can get destroyed by it because you're going to fight against it and you can't win,
Indeed, those are all great points. The Naveen, I don't know if you stepped out and then came back in. For me personally, with regards to your question about tilting, enforcing really hard rules about your max loss for the day is super important, I think. And I think everyone's going to be different with this, but I personally have found that the the longer I trade and the more time in the chair I have, the faster I tend to get at catching myself when I'm falling into that like mind state where you start to get a little bit tilty, and that's gonna be different for everyone. And I think everyone's psychology is going to be different on that. But for sure, you need a max loss, and you need to just really have your finger on the pulse of like what's going on with your psychology. So some people also do that thing where if they have a loss, they get up and walk away for 5 minutes, come back. There's a lot of different things you can do to like kind of reset yourself. But if you feel yourself getting tilty, you definitely should step away for a minute, because you're not going to reset your psychology and your mind state by looking at charts, looking for a setup that's going to fix what you just did. So stepping away for a quick second, having hard rules, and just being self-aware of how your body feels, what's going through your mind, and really having that awareness of what's going on, like how you feel and what your OODA loop is doing, all that stuff. Gator?
Agreed. And you have to. I don't think you understand, or you might understand. I say you don't think, I say I don't think. So I'll use me. I don't think I understand what happens psychologically when you start breaking hard and fast rules that you put in place, and how quickly that snowballs. Like, once you decide that you're going to break one or two of your hard and fast rules that you made for your business, which your day-to-day trading, how you're going to do things. I have a stop loss of 5K. Well, I did 6K and I made it. And once you start breaking your rules, it's a very, very thin line between that and completely tilting. Because you put a guardrail there when you were of sound mind. It's like, I'm trying to think of like the idea that came to mind isn't appropriate. So I was trying to think of like a sound mind, like you and your buddies are out and you're sober and you're like, hey, like you're the sober friend. You have to, you're going to keep me honest and do whatever. And then, once you let that rule go, once you let whatever it is go, yeah, you lose your integrity. Once your integrity is gone with yourself, it's done. It's like the person who's a liar or a cheater and they start doing it on the low end, and they start cheating or stealing or something like a low key, that starts building. And then eventually they get destroyed. That's the same thing that happens to you in a sense when you start breaking your rules that you create for yourself. You are breaking your rules. You're lying to yourself. You're cheating yourself. You've lost your integrity with yourself, and all out the window. And you're just gonna, it's like you're beat in a fight, so you're just gonna throw everything you got, and all you got's money. So you're just gonna throw it at the wall and hope something sticks. And you can't do that. You have rules for a reason. You have guardrails that you have put in place for a reason. Once you destroy those guardrails in life or in the market, because there are guardrails in our life we put up to stop us from doing things. It's like, because no person is stronger than temptation. No person is stronger than, saying no. Using biblical examples, David looking at Bathsheba, a man after God's own heart, looking over at something. He was tempted. He put himself in the wrong situations. Guardrails were taken down. He broke the rules, and then look what happened because of that. The same thing will happen to you when you break the rules you create for yourself, whether or not they're good rules or not. So if you're going to create a rule, follow the rule or it will snowball and you're going to get wrecked. And it's going to add up. Yeah, sure, you survive this time. You're not going to survive if you continue to break the rules you create for yourself. So, and follow them. If you create a rule, follow it. Or get rid of it. But if it's there, it's there for a reason. Sorry.
I think that we definitely, I think a lot of us, that trade together, we got in the habit of breaking a lot of rules when trading was really easy, and I think we're being reminded now that how important those things are, and whatever gains that we may have made on days when we broke rules and made money, I think the long-term damage that we did to ourselves is maybe outweighs that, and it really is just better to have your plan, stick to your plan, and just be disciplined, because discipline is key.
Yeah, it is. And CeeTee, it's 10 o'clock. I don't want to keep you past your time. I know you're taking the wife out, so do you need to?
We can go for probably like 10 more minutes, I think.
Okay.
Oh,
So how I adjust to Eliot's thing is I do it. It's kind of like that OODA loop that you have in the market. You have that OODA loop with the rules. So you know yourself. It's like when you work out or you start training. We'll use a different analogy. Well, when you start training um, and you're becoming physically fit, you're going to the gym, you're working out 5 days a week, whatever it is. As soon as you start off, you might want to have a little bit stricter diet. Um, because you have a problem with bonbons and I don't know, hot pockets or something, and you're not eating really healthy, and you're drinking a lot, and you're doing all these other things. So you might need to put yourself on a more restrictive diet to create discipline. And then as you create discipline, and as you get jacked, and as you start doing that, and as you learn more about food and diet, you can reintroduce ice creams and reintroduce stuff into your diet, and it's healthy and it's not a bad thing for you. Like, I don't think, quote unquote, bending is a bad thing all the time. There's a time and a place to eat ice cream, and there's a time and a place to bend and in names. And when you're 300 pounds overweight and you can barely breathe walking up the stairs, it's not the time to eat ice cream. Sorry, you know. When and the same thing for the market. And then there's times like, yeah, you're just relaxing with the wife at the end of the day, and y'all are having some ice cream, and you're both active and had a good day, and whatever it is, and there's nothing wrong with going out and getting a treat. Because it set it up for yourself. And that's the same way I kind of look at the market, is that OODA loop of like, okay, I'm doing really good. I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. I'm going to give myself a little bit more wiggle room, and then I readjust all the time, because it's like then you step on the scale and you realize, oh, hang on, I've given myself a little bit too much room. I don't do scales, but whatever it is, I'm going to adjust a little bit more. And it's a never-ending cycle of identifying and adjusting what you need to do to be successful in the circumstances that you're in. And CT.
yeah, I think that definitely like continually evolving and refining your rules. And what I shared tonight is a perfect example of that. My initial rules that I used when I was learning were very, very simple, and these are now getting really into the weeds with conditions and that and whatnot. And that actually gets back to let's see, whose question was it? I lost it here. With the major rule breaking, how do you do the work that stops the bleeding? I mean, you really need to realize that after a really bad tilt day, you need to like reflect, like, is it sustainable to have like another one of those or two more of those, or do you need to preserve your capital so that you can continue doing this as a job? And take a step back, maybe take a couple days off if you need to, and really, everyone hears me harp on it over and over again, like, just tear down. Like, if you're having a rough time, whether it's a tilt day, whether strats aren't working, whether you've got things going on in your life that are make things difficult, just tear down, because the quickest way to rebuild your confidence and get back on track is to do small tier trades, and just realize that you can string together green days, and then you can start scaling up again, and just track your trades, track your green and red days, track your P&L, and keep a finger on the pulse of your psychology so that you can evolve your trading rules. And I guess I talked about this earlier, that anytime you have a bad day, ask yourself at the end of the day, is there a rule I can put in place to keep this from happening again in the future? Because I personally find that I have not encountered a bad day where there isn't some sort of tweak to a rule that I can implement to improve or to keep that from happening in the future. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's like identifying. It's like at some point in my tilting or going to that red day, it's like I felt that I was messing up and I just pushed through it. And if you identify that, JR says, he likes to say that if you have to assign your losses a reason, otherwise your mind will do it for you. Like, if I assign the reason for my red day to that moment in time when I realized that I was losing and I kept going, then that allows me the next day, when that happens, to assign that to myself. And I can be like, wait, this happened yesterday. This is why you lost. You need to do something different today. And that's like, I've kind of implemented that in assigning like a direct causation to my losses when I go back and review my day. And that's kind of how I stop the mental side of it, which then stops me from taking those trades that that you're taking just for money because you're throwing money at the wall hoping something sticks and you can make money. And Facebook, Tesla, whatever, makes a 10-point move when you're in the contract so you can make your money back, as opposed to just the intelligent trade, the finding this, what's smart for this market condition, etc., etc., etc. And then I punish myself by crying in the corner and beating myself mercilessly with a whip across the back. I get 10 lashes for every time I tilt.
That thing, that little pink and green thing in the background isn't for Gator's kids.
It's torture devices. No,
But
sorry.
and one thing I'll add is that one of the things that I've been kind of having to keep myself in check about is that, like, when you are starting to get some consecutive losses in a morning, for instance, it's really easy to convince yourself, well, it's choppy now, but maybe trading will get better later in the day. And hanging around and like taking these trades, even small tier trades, do add up over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. So for me personally, I really am just trying to be as disciplined as possible about, if it's a difficult morning, just walk away, man. Like, there's so many trading days in the year, 200 and however many trading days in the year. There's really no reason to suffer days that are super difficult. Like, you can just call it a day, go and do something you enjoy, and in 5 weeks that'll be me going to the beach. But find something you enjoy. Find something you enjoy, and come back the next day, and eventually things will get better. And work on improving yourself, and learning new strats. Do whatever you got to do, but just be careful of those mind games you play with yourself. That, oh well, it's choppy now. That's maybe I can catch a rally or this, out, or the next thing. You got to really be hard on yourself.
Yeah, and we still kind of do the 10-11. I mean, that's a personal thing that that CeeTee just gave to everybody to use. You can still use it. You can still set alarms. I still do it. I don't always think to call it out, like, but it's still something you can have and you can do if you need it. I used it for just an indicator of, like, that's kind of part of the journey of being like, you don't have to trade. Or identifying where you're trading and where you're making your money. You could still use that, and you still, like, everybody could still do it. And if we wanted to do it next month, we could do it. If you wanted CeeTee and I to do a show on a percentage of when we make it and have people do a poll or something, if you guys like that, we could do that and post it in Discord for when most people make most of their money. But realistically, for me, it's kind of like what you're saying: discipline early, identifying the market, sizing down, and then, like, finding the good trades and what's working, and then just letting the rest of the day decide if I want to hang out, or I want to go play with my kids, or go golfing, or go work out, whatever I need to do. I don't have to sit here at this computer all day. Like, mostly when I do, I'm just talking to you guys. Like, I don't
Yeah,
have to do it.
it's so important to find something in life that you enjoy, so that you can actually look at walking away from the computer as being a good thing. Like, you get to go do something you enjoy. Like, if your entire existence revolves around trading and you don't have any like hobbies or anything you enjoy in life, I think that's totally unhealthy. And that was one of the things that really helped me when I was, like, just learning how to trade. Is I was riding a lot back then, and it was a treat. Like, oh geez, I made my money, I can, like, log off, go up to the mountains, ride some trails, and it was just awesome. So find something you enjoy doing. It's not only does that get you away from the market when the market's not conducive, but it's healthy to be balanced with your life in general.
It's very important. And if you are hanging out, you should be learning something. Like, you don't scalp all day. I mean, you might, but you're not hyper scalping. And C strategies don't take place all day. They're a once in it happens, and then until you get a chart reset, it doesn't happen again. So there's no more C strategies. So, there are more strategies that work, but if you're not learning and waiting, it's like the strategies I take between 11 and 4, like, there might be, like, I don't know, 10 strategies in that course of time, whereas in the first 30 minutes I have 40 trades, and over the course of the next, I don't know, 3 hours, I might have 10 trades. It's like I'm being very selective. It's like I'm waiting for the 200 moving average to hit, and then I'm gonna trade it. And if it doesn't, I don't. Or I'm looking for something. It's like I'm almost like sniper hunting something when I hang out. I'm not sitting there trying to, unless Amazon's the hyper scalping Amazon's working. I'm not sitting there hyper scalping. I'm waiting for stochastic setups in Google if it's following the cues. I'm watching for a pullback to the 21 or the 200 on something, and then compression and a breakout. I'm not sitting there hyper scalping stuff all day. You know, I'd rather go do something else. And if I do sit here, I'm playing a game or I'm waiting for a specific setup and learn to find that setup if you are going to sit there all day that can make you money.
And I think it's also important to really uh, reflect on what type of a like how you behave when you're sitting there doing that. Because for instance, I think you're really good at like hanging out and not taking trades. I tend to not be good. I start taking small tier trades, and it usually doesn't end well. So for me, the best thing is usually just to step away. But I know that there's other people who can sit in front of the market all day and take one or two trades. That's just not me. I feel like the longer I look at charts, the more I start to like think, oh, this looks like a good setup, or that looks like a good setup. So just as everyone has to have their own personal set of rules, you need to look at your track record and decide, is that something you can reasonably do on a consistent basis without giving back your day or making a small red day bigger.
Hmm. A lot of times, how I do is I literally have like a game up or something. Like I've got my setup. I've got like a laptop over here. I'm like playing some game that doesn't require much, effort or something like that. I'm not like I'm not sitting here like this. If I am taking something, it would like maybe a longer hold that I'm sitting there for 10 minutes in, 15, 30 minutes in, and I'm so small size that I take the position and then I'm there and I'm still over here on the computer, or I'm watching YouTube videos, or I've got a guitar, maybe I'm playing the guitar or something. I don't know, like I'm I'm not sitting here. I can't, I don't know. At least at this point in my career, I can't sit here either and just like maybe this, because then you start like, oh, maybe this is it. Ooh, this could be a pivot level that gets me all this. It's like, oh, what about this? And it's like, nah, nah.
So funny.
Let's see.
Um, Jay's got a question there. Yeah, I do not know. I think that, this is something that Gator, you did some shows on a while back about kind of the addiction to, to certain styles of trading and stuff. And, I think that we do get certain like serotonin, like hits and stuff in certain conditions when we're trading. And so for sure, like if you're rewarding yourself for doing certain behaviors, I think it's not unreasonable to think that your brain is gonna, you're gonna train your brain to possibly do bad things, which is again why I think it's important to really follow your rules and not let yourself fall into those type of habits.
Yeah, I know you're running out of time, so let me know if you've got to go. Don't let me keep you from the date with the wife. But
Well, I think we put in an hour here, so I'm feeling like I've put in my good fit, my like good effort here, and I
I'll
can
send you
go
your
enjoy.
paycheck,
Sweet, I earned my money from
your
my
royalties,
dividends.
your dividends.
Don't
And
forget to like and
yeah,
subscribe.
like and subscribe so CT can get paid. If you don't like and subscribe, CT doesn't get his paycheck. He doesn't get paid. So like and subscribe or no paycheck for CT.
So funny.
He won't
But no,
have the.
it's and if we can keep these down to like a reasonable amount of time, I think we can probably get back to doing them on a more consistent basis. And but yeah, it feels good to be back. It's sometimes it's hard to come to like to come and do a show after especially after a hard week of trading. You just want to like go out and relax and not think about it. But I've said it before. It always feels good to come and hang out with you. And it might seem like a chore, but then at the end of when we're done, it feels like time well spent.
I appreciate it, man. Hanging out with me is a chore. My wife thinks it's a chore too, so no, I know what you mean, but I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you coming on. It always helps somebody else having here. I'll hang out for a few minutes, guys. I'll answer Jay's question, and if you have anything else, I'll answer it. But CT, man, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. Um, Enjoy the date with the wife, and if I think we can easily keep these to about an hour or so in the future, and we can
Well,
definitely do a one next week if you're available and all. And I won't be here Monday, so y'all can hold down the fort.
indeed, we will do that. And thank you, everybody in chat, for hanging out, anybody in Discord. And we appreciate all of you. And I will see you Monday in Gator's absence, and then we will all be back together, reunited on Tuesday. Have a good night and good weekend, everyone.
Yeah, later, CT. So I cut. Okay, so what am I doing? Give me 1 second. So I'm still I'll hang out for a second. Um, I'm moving the wrong screen. So, and I'm not going to hang out much longer. I just wanted to answer Justice Jay your question, and you asked about the addiction. It does, and rewarding yourself. And I'm not going to say rewarding yourself for doing something bad, but you reward yourself. You're getting money, and you're just making and you're trading. And let's say you're trading on something that's not a strategy, or you're just bending into something. You're just taking something. You're giving yourself a mental reward for something that may or may not be a good strategy. And so then when you come back and the market's different, or we're in a different trend, so JR talks about this, you're in like the C strategies work great when you're breaking in or out. Like you're breaking down or you're breaking out. And now you're in consolidation. Well, they don't work as well. You don't get the same pops, but you're trading the same strategy, and you don't see why it's not working. You have like a cognitive dissonance, and you're detached from the reality of a changing market, and you're just thinking that this should work because it worked last time, and you're not taking certain things into account, and you're not getting that high that you were looking for before or that you got before. And those bad habits, if you formed bad habits like I've talked about before, when the market was easy, then when the market gets hard, those bad habits are still there, but now you're not getting a reward for them. But you're trading and they're not working, and now you think you're the problem and you're a bad trader and you can't do this. And let's go down that rabbit trail. Well, I've got to do all this. Well, you've been breaking your rules. You've been going red, and then you're coming back green, and you keep trading, and yeah, you get rewarded for it. But now the market's not good, and now you're going to get punished for not following your rules. So yeah, sure, breaking your rules will pay you more when the market is just really good, but it'll hurt you more in times like this when you're just in a bunch of consolidation and tough price action. So what are you going to do? It's kind of up to you on what you do, but that bad tilting, bending behavior will come back to get you if you don't know how to turn it off. And there are some people that can drink or can smoke. I don't know, cigarettes are a little bit more nicotine, a little bit more addictive, but who can do some things and then stop and it never bothers them and it doesn't seem to hurt them. Other people, it really gets to them and they cannot stop and they don't know how to stop and they can't quit. Well, if you have an addictive personality and you can't quit, then you really got to let it go. And you, more than somebody else, has to actually reward, you actually have to follow your rules even in a good market, because you can't afford that breakdown after the fact. Somebody else who does not have that addictive kind of whatever it is, they might be able to play a little bit more loose, but who cares? You're not competing against them. You're not showing me your P&L, and I'm not looking at your P&L after the fact to brag about who makes more money. You're doing this for yourself and for the long haul. You're here to make intelligent trades, to make business decisions that are going to allow you to reach whatever goal you have for yourself in this industry and in this job. So do not reward that negative, bad, tilting, bending into things, breaking rules to get back green, doing all this, throwing money at the wall. You need to be consistent and you need to follow whatever rules you create or decide for yourself. Because if you get rewarded for those bad habits long enough, good or bad, you're going to you're going to reap the whirlwind. But if you sow consistency, if you create consistent, intelligent habits over the course of time, you'll be okay because you're going to be rewarded in the long term as opposed to the short term. The trader who can only make his money by bending in aggressively bull markets or bearish markets, they're going to be rewarded in the short term because they're going to post a P&L that's more than you made, let's say, in a year. And they're going to be able to be this, and you're going to be like, man, I want to be like them, or man, I want to do this, or I can't do that kind of stuff. But when the hard times come, they will just blow that out, and they'll lose twice that without even thinking about it, because that's how easy it is to lose money in this business. But the person who sticks to their strategies, who follows their rules, their guardrails that they have created for a reason, saying, this is what I'm going to do because this is what I found to work and to be consistent. Yeah, sure, there are ways to make money outside of what I do. Yeah, sure, breaking the rules might pay off. I'm not worried about catching all the money. I have a set of rules. I have stuff that works for me. I know how to make money. I know how to reach my long term goals. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to follow my rules. And sure, you might be more aggressive or less aggressive based on the market. Not saying not to do that. Not saying you have to, every one of your 10 strategies or your 10 checklists have to be checked before you take a strategy or a trade. But following that discipline and being rewarded over the long term, when you look at your account and you've just been consistent, and you look back and you're like, yeah, I'm consistent over the course of a year. And now I'm rewarded at the end of the year by the lack of up and down psychological toxicity, but the lack of constantly blowing out. Sure, you have red days or one or two big red days, but the lack of that constant blowing out, that just consistent green days, padding, that reward will stick with you and last longer than the bending reward of that quick high and the crash afterwards, that sugar crash. And so I've talked about it in more depth than I'm going to now, but yeah, that it is similar. That addiction, nicotine, drug high is similar to that. And when you start printing the bigger P&Ls, then sometimes you chase that, and if you get rewarded for bad trading to get there, I've already said it, so I won't go back over it. What do you mean that the pivotal moment that you really had your trading organized, or more so? I mean, it was never randomness because I use C strategies. It was never random. It was just I've added more to it. What up, Corey? I've just added a lot more to it. So I've just developed more. It's like this. I still use the C strategies every day. They're like my main source of making money. But I'm developing and developing what I need to be consistent. Because as you do something, you know, it's like if I made a widget, or I made a screw, or I made something, like if I develop something and there are 10 people that did it, or there are 10 people that make the airplane, whatever it is, fill in your person that did this. They're whiskey, there's so many, like, yeah, I made whiskey. Well, how are you going to be successful at doing that? You get organized. It's like, yeah, you have big up days. You break out of the box. You're considered a successful trader. I'm a six-figure trader. You're a six-figure trader. You can make a living doing this. Okay, now what? Well, how do you not go back down? How many people have blown up $500,000 accounts, $200,000 accounts? Okay, we want to get consistent. We want to get good at this. We want to learn how to do this. Okay. All right. What do I need to do to get there? What do I need to do to weather this? I can't, I want to grow as a trader and become a bigger trader. So I start looking at organizing how I look at things, at organizing the strategy for my business, at none of it was random before, but now I'm kind of like JR says, and when he talks about assigning a reason to everything, I assign the reasons I win and assign the reasons that I lose. It's like you won today because you were disciplined, because you waited for your setups. You lost today because you jumped the gun and got in before you were supposed to, because you were looking to make the most money, or because you were doing this. So I start actually assigning reasons to my wins and my losses, so I don't just make it up in the back of my head. I think about them and then I assign them so they're no longer random. There's a reason behind my wins and my losses, and it's just kind of part of the growth as a trader. I don't know if that kind of answers it, but it's not random. I don't see the market as random. I see it as very almost computer-like and organized, and that's why I find some of it easy to kind of spot and to start seeing like level 2 acting a certain way and understand that means that could mean this, so I'm doing this. It's like that quick reaction. I almost see it as like a mechanical thing that's taking place, and if I can see it happening, I can make money on it. I don't I don't think you meant like random, but I don't see it as randomness. I agree. It's not about dopamine. It's not about chases. You have to continue to grow, and you can't chase a high. If you're a high chaser, the reason, the thing about chasing a high as a trader is people that chase a high always chase the next high, and your previous high will never be enough. Um, and that's the same for the get rich quick schemes. There's no such thing as a get rich quick scheme. There are things that work to get rich quick, sure, but there, if you're gonna, the people, if you were to take the money, I believe this, as everybody, all the money in the world, and you were to divvy it up evenly between every single person in the world, and let's say that there was a finite number of money and all this, and you couldn't just print it, um, and you were to hand it out, most of that money would end up in the same people's hands that had it before you split it up. Because making money and making profits and being long-term successful is not, it's about choices that you make over the long term and long-term gratification and identifying things that work and all these other factors. It's not just chasing that rush or chasing that high. It's how you view it, how you view your money, how you actually look at everything, you know. Yeah. Um, it's how you view. I'm trying to think of a different way how to say it, but yeah, I think you guys get what I'm saying. I didn't trade today. Definitely did not trade today. I did go golfing. I did sell my house, and I did go golfing. I played with my kids. But yeah, I saw today. I looked at it like midday. I didn't trade at all. I looked at it. I'm like, wow, I'm glad I didn't trade. The only trade I think I would have saw was this one. Looking at Tesla on the 2 minute when it came back down, I could see this as a trade I would take. This to the long side is 100% a trade I would take. Even though it's below day lows, you had yesterday's close, went down below it, bounced back up above it, came back down, hit VWAP. I'm in the way. Hit VWAP here. This is the 1 minute chart. I for sure would have taken that trade. I don't know about the rest of them, but you can see it's on the 21. It bounces back up, comes back down, hits the 21 on the 1 minute. I bet I'd take that one maybe if I was looking at it. There you go, right there. That's kind of, it's probably not as easy as it looks. Those look like ugly wicks, and it's probably super hard to play. That'd just be the only thing I see in Tesla. I don't know what other names are out there. I didn't look at the market today. I haven't looked through any of these charts. Yeah, I sold my house. It sold the first weekend it was on, and we closed today. Buying the new home next week. Or buying the new home on Monday, so I won't be on Monday. Y'all got any questions before I lock this puppy up? It's true. Being around other people, trading in an environment, where you can prosper. That's why we are here. That's why we have the Discord room. That's why the Discord room's here. That's why we have the Newsbeat Live room, and we've got JR over there. Neither. Rare breed. We've got we've got a lot of rooms, a lot of places to hear where people can make, where they can surround themselves with good traders who are successful, who do what they do. So if you guys are watching this, and you're, yeah, do I need to charge thousands of dollars? I'll chat. I will. I'm a guru, a scammy guru. I'm not a guru. I will. I'll charge tens of dollars. Tens of dollars. Nah. But if you guys do want to hang out, hop into Discord, hang out in Discord. Links in the description to the video. You can always like, share, subscribe to the comments here if you really do want to support what I do, support the channel, want me to make more content, etc., etc. Like the videos that are on my page, subscribe, watch them if you want to watch them. Come hang out with us when we're live. We'd love to have you. Ask questions if you got questions, if you want to understand strategies more. I do these shows. I will not have a show Monday. Because I'll be driving back from Georgia, but I'll probably do a makeup show Tuesday, or I'll just do one Wednesday. We'll see. But yeah, leave all that stuff. I really appreciate it. If you guys ever have questions, you know where to find me, and you can always come on the shows and ask them, and I'll do what I can to answer them. I appreciate you guys. Get some rest. Stay away from the market, unless you really want to hang out in the market. I don't know. Over the weekend, enjoy your family, enjoy other things in life. You guys are the best. Love you all. Have a great weekend. I will not see you Monday, but I will see you Tuesday. Until